It is the 5th of November, a very ominous date in British history, and I particularly wanted to put out a video titled Remember, Remember on today's date. First off, I want to direct people's attention to an article written by Gloria Moss, who's the organiser of the Questioning History conference that took place in December last year, and the plan is for that to take place again next month, December this year, 18th to the 20th, the weekend just before Christmas, at a venue in East Sussex. So Gloria is someone who has applied renewed scrutiny to many historical events that we've all been taught about. We've all taken for granted that we know what went on with these events, but of course it's the approved official version that we've had indoctrinated into us, and Gloria has specialised in revisiting a whole number of historical events and asking if we were told the whole truth, and inevitably she comes to the conclusion, with evidence to back it up, that we've been lied to about pretty much everything through history. And so the Gunpowder Plot, the event of the 5th of November, Guy Fawkes and all of that, the origins of Bonfire Night, she believes were fabricated to a very large extent, and all these details that we were given about it were contrived also. So I've put a link in the show notes below to where you can download a copy of Gloria's document if you want to scrutinise that and have a fresh look at this event. So it's Remember, Remember the 5th of November, Gunpowder, Treason and Plot. Well, there's been no shortage of treason and plot the last few months, that's for sure. Not so sure about the gunpowder, but it is an event where we are asked to remember. And that's the theme of what I wanted to say here, because there are many, many things about 2020 that are going to be remembered. So first off, the vote that took place yesterday in Parliament, where MPs were voting on whether to approve the lockdown that England now finds itself in nationwide. Of the 600 odd MPs who voted, only 32 voted to eradicate the lockdown and for it not to take place. The remainder sided with Boris Johnson's immoral, unfounded and tyrannical plans to install this lockdown. So the 32 who abstained, or the 32 that voted for this not to take place, will be remembered. Their names will be remembered. It will be remembered that they stood on the side of right action in this regard. And by the same token, those MPs that voted to continue the tyranny and the imposition on our natural rights and freedoms, they will be remembered too. Everyone will be remembered for the role they took in the events of 2020, what's unfolding right now. Who can't see by now that this is biblical? It's a battle of good versus evil. It's playing out right in front of our eyes, and we're all participants in it. And so we get to determine which way this whole thing goes. So it's going to be remembered, those that bought the mainstream media lies, and they've been proven to be lies. All the deceptions that have been spun by the media, by the government, all the people that have just gone along with that and obeyed these dictates, which are immoral, have no basis in science, they have no basis in logic, they have no basis in any kind of common sense. Those that have just gone along with it and have not kicked up any kind of a fuss and have enabled this tyranny to get to the stage that it's at now, and it's only going to get worse if things continue, it will be remembered, those who didn't make any kind of a stand. It will also be remembered those that did stand up for right action, those that allowed their consciences to direct their actions and their behaviours and the stance that they took in all this. Those that gave some measure of pushback, some measure of resistance, whatever that looked like. These people will be remembered. The traitors in the mainstream media, the broadcasters that have been pushing the fear-based mind control and propaganda, without which none of this could have taken place. None of us would find ourselves in the situation we're now in, living the lives that we've been forced to live, if it weren't for these treacherous vipers just spreading all their bile and their hate and their lies and influencing large numbers of people who sadly don't know any better than to trust them, even though they're proven liars and criminals. And all the healthcare professionals, all the doctors that know better, they know that we're being lied to. They know we're being given flawed science, but they're saying nothing for the sake of their careers. We will remember you. All the police officers who are enforcing the draconianism that are taking away people's rights by the day, just for a paycheck, just because they're following orders. We will remember you also. The very few that have, out of conscience, stepped away from their jobs on the grounds that they just can't be a part of this anymore, will remember you. Everyone's role, everyone's participation in what's going on is going to come to be remembered when we look back on these times. And I'm not talking about it's going to be remembered by me, or it's going to be remembered by any other individual or any other group or any other organization. It's also going to be remembered by God. There was a phrase in the hip-hop world when I used to be active in that game as a DJ. People used to like to say, streets is watching. And it was a reference to, street hustlers and drug dealers, the idea that streets is watching. It's a cold, harsh world out there when you run that kind of lifestyle. And the streets are always watching you, waiting for you to slip up, waiting for you to fail, and waiting to pounce. Well, the variation on that for these times is creation is watching. God is watching and is taking note of what everyone is doing or what everyone is not doing in these times. Those that are employing right action, which they know to be so, and those who are either doing nothing out of cowardice, out of laziness, out of apathy, or those that are deliberately spinning evil and lies and deceptions and assisting this whole process. It will be remembered. That's all I want to say.